Hello. Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm so glad to see you here. My name is Jennifer. This is Creative Art Spark. And tonight we're going to be making some rolled flowers out of old book pages. And I got this idea and I learned this, I should say, by watching Mindless Crafting on YouTube. And if you haven't seen her channel, please do stop by. She's got beautiful things there. So this is what we're going to make, okay? This is the first one that I did, and I used Distress Inks by Tim Holtz. I used two different colors, a blue and a purple. And then I went in and I put some little flower stamens in there that I got at Heartfelt Creations, okay? This is the second one that I did, and I used pinks, and this was a 2.5 inch circle, and the larger blue one was a 4-inch circle that I drew and cut just out of regular text weight paper. I started to say copy weight, but it's text weight paper. Okay, here is one that I used purples and pinks in. This one is an old book page, and I used the blue and the purple Distress Inks from Tim Holtz, and then I put a stamen in there last night, again from Heartfelt Creations. This one is from an old dictionary, and it's got tons of pages in there because the dictionary pages were so thin that the flower didn't beef up like using the text weight paper or regular copy paper. So this has got, I think it's 4 of the 4-inch circles and 4 of the 2.5-inch circles, and then I put the stamens in there from Heartfelt Creations. I used acrylic inks to paint these, so this one looks a little different. Here is one of the 4-inch circles, and see how flimsy they are versus a book page. Okay, so that's why I've got so many layers in this one, but I didn't get the layers all turned quite the right way, so it ended up looking like a star. So it kind of looks Christmassy to me. Okay, so tonight we're going to make from the 2.5-inch circle punch that I have, okay? And you start out just like with the roses we did in one of our earlier videos. You fold into triangles, okay? We're going to use 4 tonight probably. So you fold into triangles, and then I'll show you the next step. I've already got 3 of these done. So we're going to fold this into a triangle. Well, you fold it in half, I should say. Then you fold it in half again to make your first real triangle. And then you fold it in half a third time. And you come out with this teensy little triangle, if I can get it to cooperate with me. Sometimes paper has a mind of its own. Okay, there we go. So the next step is to go in here, and we're going to draw lines on all of our folds because we're going to be cutting those lines, but we don't want to cut all the way to the middle of the flower because then our petals would fall off. So we're going to draw just like this, and we're going to choose a magic spot on the flower and try to get all of our petals, all of our cuts to wind up in relatively the same spot without taking a lot of pains to do any measuring or anything, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 little petals. All right. So we're going to cut them just like this with these great big huge scissors. So we're going to cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We're going to do that for each one, Okay, so I'm only going to do 4 tonight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the reason that I'm counting, it's not for your benefit, it's for my benefit, because I have missed some of these before and get to curling my flowers and something looks off. So I count them now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And remember, when you're choosing your book pages, look for those profanities. Scan down that book page. I don't think I've ever seen a flower that had a profanity on it, so kind of beware. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put handmade little stamens in here tonight. This is another experiment, okay? So I have cut paper 1.5 inch. I've cut 1.5 inch strips of book pages, and yes, I sort of scanned. Folded them in half, and then I just little snips, okay? You don't snip all the way to the end. See there? So I'm going to finish up on this one and show you what I was doing. Was I even in frame? I probably was not. Okay, here's my 1.5 inch strip. And I have snipped. It's just like making paper dolls again. Okay, so I've done several of these, and I'm going to finish snipping this one. And then we're going to get to painting, and we're going to get to furling these petals. And I have a little tool that it's from paper bead. It's a paper bead tool and a quilling tool. I had a very small handheld one. Before I found that, I was using a paintbrush, and the end of a paintbrush, a real small one. That made my hands hurt so bad I couldn't figure out why anybody in the world would want to make a lot of these. But then I ordered, and my order came today, and oh my, having a longer one just made all the difference in the world. Okay, so I'll show you here in a little bit using that. So there we've got 5 strips in case we need them. Now, we are going to color our flower. We're going to paint it with Dina Wakley scribble sticks. If you have never tried scribble sticks, these are so much fun. I love using them with water. That just, when I first bought them, I thought, why did I get these? And then I put water to them, and oh, was that ever a game changer. So we're going to take the scribble stick, we're going to take our paintbrush, dip it in water, and then we're going to paint the end of this puppy, okay? And you can put your ink on in 2 different ways. You can run around with your paintbrush. Can you see me doing that? Or you can do it like this. If you just dip your stick in water and come along and do this. Look at that. Is that not just amazing? Look at that. Just look at that. 5 seconds. Boom. Done. We're going to do one side in this blue. Now you do have to dip your scribble stick in the water quite frequently. I think I'd have better luck if I put my paintbrush down. Okay. I'm going to dip. And then hopefully the leaf will be dry by the time I get through with the other ones. We can turn it over and use the other color, because I want to see what happens when you have one that doesn't have the same color on both sides. Just for experimentation's purposes, I guess you could say. Because we're not making flowers that are exact to nature. We're making fantasy flowers that if we could design our own little flowers and plant them in our gardens, that's what we'd come up with. I was getting a little too exact on painting, so I'm scribbling. I'm going back to scribbling because I don't want these to be real exact. I want them to be real free-form. Okay, I'll come in here in the center and do a little bit. Is that still in frame? All right, there's 1, 2, 3. We got one more of the blue to go. Okay. This one we're gonna just make marks instead of making sure we've got the whole thing covered, because every layer of a flower is not exact either. And we can just experiment, 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 because that's what art is all about. Seeing where it takes you. Okay, so there's that one. I'm going to wipe my blue up so that now, this was my first one, we can come back in with a burgundy and do exactly the same thing. And even though we're just using the burgundy, it is mixing a little bit with what's bleeding through, and that's looking kind of cool. I like that. And so we're scribbling along, singing a song. All right, scribble, scribble, scribble with our scribble sticks. These are just so much fun, and they make quick art. Now, I used acrylic paint last night, and oh Lord, I was 2 hours making those flowers. I could have never have done a process video for you. I can't talk that long. Can't find enough things to talk about. All right, so there's one. Hopefully these will be dry enough to furl up when we get this part of the process finished, because that's where the fun begins. Right, there's 2. Flip it over. Actually, this one we're going to come along. What kind of design we got on this side? We're going to paint wildly here instead of scribbling. We're just going to get wild with it and lay this color down. I think I ordered these off of Amazon. Or either I got them when I was working and going to Lawrenceville once a month at Hobby Lobby. They had a big Hobby Lobby down there. All right, last flower. Paint, 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 paint. And we got one more step of painting to do on the center of our flowers, and so that should give our petals time to dry real good. All right. I'm going to go a little hog wild on this one. And we're going to call this one our center flower. So we'll know when we look at it that this one is for the center, just because it's got so much color on it. Okay, lift that up, light that up. We're through with the scribble sticks. Now we're going to use some gold metallic paint. This is acrylic paint. It's Artist Loft. I think that comes from Michael's. I don't know, there was a sale. So I'm going to put me a blob of paint right there. Okay, and we're going to put our first little stamen right here. We're going to wet our brush, and we're just going to come along and do this. It's not going to take long. And we're going to paint the center of this, because when we roll this up, I think all that we're going to see is the center of it. Not real sure. Haven't tried this yet. Okay, there's one. Here's my second one. Just want to get a little hint of color going here. Just for that little added pizzazz. Okay, because see, when you fold it up, you're going to see that on the tops. That's what we're going for. I'm going to paint well, I might as well go ahead and paint all of them. I don't know how many it's going to take to get the effect that I want. Because like I said, I have not tried this yet. We're going to let this one be our outer one. We're going to paint it more than the other ones. Just be careful and don't rip your little snips. Don't get that brush going so fast that you rip your snips. That's like Cinderella slipping her dripper. I don't know if anybody remembers that or not. Okay, here comes another one. We can hit just the peaks on this one. We don't have to worry about it being, well, we'll go ahead all the way, because again, I don't know how big of a roll we're going to make with this. Okay, this would be strip number 4. I got one more strip to go. Then all we've got to do is furl our little petals and glue our layers together, and we will have made another flower. Okay, hit the peaks. I just find that being creative just helps me so much as far as my mood and how I feel about myself as a person. I really, really, really think being creative is good medicine. And so the trick is to stop listening to those negative voices in your heads that tell you you're not the least bit artistic. Because, honey, I know I'm not artistic, but I'm calling myself an artist, and I don't care if other people think that I'm not. Let me clean up some of this gold paint. I don't want that on my elbows tonight. I enjoy my art. It's not important to me if anybody except me likes it. I show it ad nauseum on Facebook. I know people probably get sick of me showing the things that I make, but I just have so much fun doing it. So if you're like me, just enjoy your art. It doesn't have to be any earth-shattering Picasso piece or a Van Gogh piece. It doesn't have to be a Mona Lisa. It's not going to hang in the Louvre or anything like that. That's not what we're going for. We're going for having fun. No, I didn't miss one. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we are still a little damp, but we're going to forge ahead. So we're going to take our little tool. This is my little paper bead tool, and has a slit right here. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's really hard for me to see. Where did it go? There it is. Okay, it's really hard for me to see the slit, so I don't know if you can see it or not. We're going to put it on one of our petals. Okay, we're going to come up here and we're going to grab the corner of one of those little petals, and we're going to roll it. I found that it was easiest for me to roll toward me. Okay, and then when you roll it towards you, you're going to roll it back and forth so that it gets some memory going on. Only on one side. All the ones on the top, okay, we're going to roll toward us. Toward us, not toward us like a turtle. That sounded like toward us like a turtle. All right. There, we're going to roll. Don't roll past your cut. You'll tear your petal. So we're going to do that and slide that thing out. Okay, this is what took so long the other night when I was doing it with a paintbrush handle, because I could never get these little pieces of paper to stay on that paintbrush handle. And it was not only was it frustrating, but it made my fingers really, really sore. Okay, there we go. Roll. And these do not have to be perfect. Remember, nature is not perfect. You're not going to be perfect. No human being on the face of this earth is perfect. What we're striving for is the end product. We want to be happy with what we create, okay? All right, so keep rolling. Remember, you got 8 of these. We're going to roll 16 times on each little petal. I cannot see the the cut. Wow, I'm getting blind. All right, roll, roll, roll. There we go. Roll it in your fingers a little bit to help set that curl. Ah, I picked up the wrong one. Well, maybe you do want curse words on your book pages. I think I might could use one right about now. Okay, there we go. We got that one finally. And you're only going to roll it to the somewhere around the middle of the petal. Okay, see where I stopped? Because then you've got to roll the other side. Roll, roll, roll. So you're going to be stuck with me for a little while. I got 3 more of these to go. Okay. All right. That's what you've got to begin with. Now you're going to flip it over. And when you flip it over, you're going to roll again the top petal. Okay. But you're going to roll it again this way, so that you've got one curl going this way and one curl going this way. So they're opposing each other. And that's what gives the flower that real unique look. Okay, so roll. And if your petal tears just a little bit, just keep going, because in the end it's not going to really show in the middle of all these little furls. But you don't, as a general rule, want to tear each one of them. But I tore a bunch of those dictionary pages last night because they were so fragile. Okay, there's one. And once you get used to doing this and finding that little cutout in that tool, and if your pages are good and dry after you've painted them, they thicken up a little bit. It goes a little faster. These pages are still a little damp, so it's hard to get them to fit in that slot. Now, if something comes unfurled, like this one, see here, it has come unfurled, you can turn it back over, and you can roll that petal again if you want to. You just do that right there. So let's keep going. We got more of these to do before we get done. Long way to go before we get home. I know I'm going to surpass the 30-minute mark on this. Yep. Well, YouTube will just have to get over it. I hope that it's not so long that y'all get frustrated. All right, there's one. Let's see, can we plow through these real quick? And maybe this will be a video that I need to learn to trim so that I shorten it up so that you see one petal being built and then you see me gluing all the petals together, because I don't want to bore you to death. That is not my goal. My goal is to build subscribers. So at some point here in the future, we're going to have a little contest, a little giveaway, because I do want to build subscribers, but that's all I'm going to tell you about it right now, because I haven't firmed up in my mind exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm going to be doing something, because I just think this is fun. It gives me something to do, brings me joy, and I hope you guys are liking it. If you do like it, if you do like these videos, hit the subscribe button, and then you can hit the bell so that you're notified when I upload a new video. Leave me a comment down below. Tell me what you might like to see me try to make. That will give me ideas of what you guys are into. Okay, just keep rolling. Now we're ready to flip this. Well, this one didn't hold, did it? Let's get this one again, then we'll be ready to flip this puppy over. Okay, flip it over. Roll. Row. And it makes me think of the song, Row, Row, Row Your Boat. Sure. Row. Or Roll on Jordan. That's another good one. Bluegrass gospel. My husband is a big bluegrass fan, and my son is, of course, a rock and roll fan. So one year for Christmas, my husband gave him Metallica Does Bluegrass or something like that. It was hilarious. Poor old Jordan, he was so excited. He thought he was getting a really cool CD, and he put it in the CD player, and they were playing bluegrass. He just about croaked. It was so funny. A Christmas to remember. Okay, continue to roll. We almost got our second petal done. I'm not going to worry about going back and refurling these. I can do that later if I need to. And just like in nature, all the petals aren't always like they're supposed to be, or like we think they should be. Let's turn that one over and let it dry a little more. Yeah, these are still kind of wet. Okay. Come on. There we go. This still is tedious, but let me tell you, it's so much easier than a paintbrush handle. That, I'm not kidding you, it took me probably 2 hours to make that biggest blue flower. And when I finished, I posted a picture of them. The two that I made that night, I posted on Facebook. And one of my friends said, "Oh, you need to do wedding bouquets." My wedding bouquet was paper flowers, and these would just be beautiful in a wedding bouquet. And I'm thinking, ain't no way my fingers would last to make enough of these for a wedding bouquet. But I bet it would be spectacular. Just spectacular, but I don't think my fingers would hold out. You'd spend a day probably making these, making enough to make a bouquet, because it is a little time consuming. But all crafts are time consuming. It's not the amount of time that we spend, it's the end result. That's what we're looking for, is the end result. Okay. We're ready to flip this one here in just a second. So let's flip it, and then we got one more to furl. After this one. Hold it to set it. These are going to be interesting with this opposing color scheme, I think. I like to see what happens in crafts when I start doing different things. I've always said that if you don't know the rules, there's nothing to break. You can just explore all you want to if you don't know that there are any limitations. And that's kind of how I approach my art. I approach my sewing and my quilting that way, and I approach my paper arts that way, that if you don't know there's a rule, how do you know you're breaking it? Just give it a whirl, give it a try. That's when creativity becomes fun. And don't ever let somebody tell you you can't. Okay. Got 2 more petals on this one. We'll knock out this last flower, and we will be ready to begin the gluing process, and then we're going to make our little stamen, and we'll be done. All right, this one is done. Now, if it's more comfortable for you to roll these away from you, please do. I started out that way, but I feel like I've got better control of what I'm doing if I'm rolling toward myself than rolling away, because you would do that way. I don't know, this just works for me. So try it both ways. See what works best for you. What works for me might not work for you, and vice versa. You just got to do what is best for you. You might not like painting your petals. You certainly don't have to do that. That would cut down a whole lot of time, wouldn't it? And I thought about doing that. I still might make me a flower with book pages with no painting, because I think those would be pretty too. I like color. I love any color. I don't think there's any color that I hate. I'm not wild about lime green, but my daughter loves lime green, so I've made her some lime green things before. Made little owls. I made her a lime green purse. Made her a lime green wallet. Several little lime green things. But myself personally, I'm not a huge fan of lime green. but that doesn't mean that you can't be. You could make some lime green and neon pink flowers as far as that goes. All right, we are on the last leg of furling these little petals. Hallelujah. I don't know about you, but I'm excited. You're probably tired of listening to me yammer. Okay, we're just going to keep going. Probably the only reason you're still watching, and I hope you are, but you want to see what I'm going to do with these things, and you want to see the final flower. And most of the time, if I am honest with myself, the reason that I would finish a process on something is I want to see what I end up with. That is the biggest drive for me, to see, ooh, I totally missed that one, to see what I come up with when I am finished. And usually, you'll know when you're finished with something, especially if you're quilting. If you do the quilting yourself, if you're into free motion quilting and applique and all of that, you'll know. The piece will tell you when it is through, when it's finished. I like to do a lot of art quilting, and my pieces usually let me know, hey, we're done. You can nail that one to the wall. There's enough stitching. You got enough texture. You've slapped enough pieces of applique on it. Call it done and go home. It will tell me. Okay. 2 more petals, folks. 2 more petals, and we'll break out the glue. Okay. Got your hair up so you don't get glue in it? I do, because this bottle of glue that I'm using now it makes the most wisps. It's unreal. Remember I told you the other day, it is not my Fabri-Tac. I don't know what. I got to go back and check my Amazon order, because I thought I was ordering Fabri-Tac. All right, but instead I got Magnatac 809. Okay, which one of these was our Wild and Crazy? That's our center one. So we're going to start, I think, with this one. Take the top off our glue. Ew, yucky. Okay, I want to fold this up, and we're going to try to get these offset just a smidge. And I always have a little bit of trouble getting the folds going. Okay, we're going to plunk glue down in the center. There goes my tool. I knocked something off. My little furling tool fell in the floor. Are you surprised? I'm not in the least. All right, we're going to set this here. And we're going to put it right there. And I'm going to hold it for just a second, and I'm going to push these. I'm going to try. What did I do with this? Let's do this. Okay, that's the first part. All right, we got blue, so let's flip it over and do the pink. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mold it onto this pin top. Okay, I'm going to put my glue in. And I'm going to pop one little, well, the whole thing popped out. So we're going to drop it right in there like that. And we're going to slide it over so it's a little more centered. Looky there, it's starting to build, isn't it? All right, let's bring I'll get this a little more opposing here. Scrunch it up, Last one, folks. And then we're going to work with our little stamen doolios. Now this one I'm going to glue like this, just because I think it would be easier to get it in there. Okay. See that string? Stringy, stringy stuff. I'd have that all in my hair. Alright, I've got this one bunched up, and I'm going to come in, I'm going to drop it right there. Look at that! Look at that! Oh my goodness, I don't know if I want to mess with the stamen. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. Wow, I always am amazed when I end up liking something. Let's get it shifted just a little bit. Wow, I love the colors. I love, love, love it. I promise y'all I am not tooting my own horn. I really like the color combination. Okay, I gotta find my little turner that I dropped in the floor. Because we have to roll these stamens, and we're gonna hold it and see if we like it. We're going to put it in there just to see if we like it, because I have a sneaking suspicion we might not really like it. It might not be necessary. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to fold it back in half, and we're going to drop it in this slot, okay, on the non-cut end, and we are going to start rolling. Now, you can roll towards you or you can roll away from you. Doesn't matter. But try to keep the ends, the uncut ends, try to keep them together. Okay? Your cut ends, see that they're going to start doing some cool and funky things. But you're going to try, look at that. I could have gotten away with just doing one, couldn't I? I don't like the way that's rolling. Let's get another one. All right, this is one of the ones that we said we're going to be an end piece. Let's try an end piece, because we're only going to need one. And let's perhaps, I got a whole set of those tools. Let's see if one of these might work a little better for this. All right, I'll put it here, and I'm going to roll. Yeah, it's easier to see. Okay, and you roll, and you roll. And we could add to this strip, but I don't think that we're going to need to, because I think when we get done with just this one, it's going to be way fatter than we need for our beautiful little flower. But we're going to roll this out and see what we come up with. Okay. I'm going to try to keep the bottom even. And that's easier said than done. As you can see, I'm having a little bit of difficulty. But that's okay. We are not shooting for perfect. We are after the pretty effect that we just believe we're going to get. Okay. I'm going to put a little dot of glue. Along there. And then I'm going to remember that this was folded over, so I'm going to hold that first layer and let it set, and then I'm going to open it up. I'm going to put a dot of glue in there on the inside, if I can get it to come out. so that I make sure that this thing does not come apart. Okay, hold it for a minute before you slide it off of this stick. Looky there. That turned out right pretty. I'm going to slide it off the stick. And then we're going to spread it out some. And we're just going to set it in our flour to see if we like it. And I like it, but I think I like it better like this. I'm going to scrunch these up. I'm going to take a look at some of the flowers I have that could use a center like that. Let's take a look at this. Nope, doesn't work. We'll save it for another time, because I don't know about you, but I really do like the inside of that flower. So there you go. We have made a fancy little, I don't know that you'd ever see anything quite like it in nature, but there's a beautiful little flower to add to our collection. Thank you so much. I hope you subscribe, and I will see you again later in YouTube land. This is Jennifer Marshall with Creative Art Spark. Thank you so much.